Hello, people of the internet. Ninja Nick back with another round of Flipside Gaming in East Greenbush, New York's League Cup for June. The last event in our area before NAIC for the 2023 season. So points really don't matter for any of us. None of us are going to Worlds because it is Japan and it's too expensive. And it was just too hard to get an invite this year because they didn't do any local events. So didn't really bother doing that. Also, I played poorly at regionals. I did really bad meta calls and just hit really bad matchups. It was just awful the entire season. I think I doubled my CP by going to NAIC. I went from 80 to 160 with my pitiful top 256 finish at NAIC, which funnily enough was day 2. You have to get day 2 NAIC for top 256 now. It's garbage. But at least you get top 512 pity points if I know a lot of people did need that in that tournament. So we do see that Scott is playing the Gardevoir. I'm playing the Rapid Strike. Again, this is like one of my first matches with Rapid Strike, and it's a very complicated, skill-intensive deck. So I'm not navigating it as perfectly as I could. We will hopefully see me pilot it a little bit better in later tournaments. But I have not brought it to locals yet because I became somewhat famous around locals for playing Rapid Strike at NAIC. So I'm just like, well, don't tech against me playing Lugia. I'm gonna play something different. I played Lost Box at the next challenge, which we'll see once this tournament is finished uploading. So Scott gets a start with a Zacian, where he just attaches and Roar of the Swords. Does get down 2 Ralts. That's pretty much all you need minimum, but you would have loved to see 4 Ralts or 3 Ralts, but at least got the 2, so not the worst thing in the world. I put down Medicham onto my bench, and as we can see, Scott has a boss's orders in hand, so this was a pretty pitiful decision from me. I also choose not to use the Forest Sealstone here and use Korrina to draw like 3 cards or something. I could have used the Forest Sealstone to grab Research and draw in a fresh 7. I think maybe there was an Octillery in my hand and I didn't want to discard it, but I think that the risk is worth the reward if you don't have the other Octillery prized. And it also gives your opponent reason to like knock out a Remoraid when you don't have an Octillery. They don't know you don't have the Octillery. And I also bench Urshifu V here. Definitely a misplay. So in this matchup, I have since learned that you do not want to put Psychic Weak Pokemon down against a Psychic deck until you have to. So the turn you Yoga Loop, you bench Medicham attached to it and bench Urshifu V. Then you Yoga Loop like a Ralt or Manaphy or whatever. Take an additional turn, Melanie and attach for turn to the Urshifu V, and then evolve it, and then you use VMax Rapid Flow on like 2 Kirlias or whatever. Or a Kirlia and a Shining Arcana Gardevoir or something, you know? Or a Zacian V, if there's a damaged one, you can escape rope to the bench. So that is the correct way to play this matchup, or you can just never put down a fighting Pokemon, except for maybe the Yoga Loop at some point when you Yoga Loop. But getting triple Inteleon VMax into play is really good, because that in combination with the Radiant Alakazam can allow you to knock out Kirlias in 1 turn. But we just see the boss's orders onto the Urshifu V. Honestly, for Scott, the correct choice would have been to boss up the Remoraid and knock it out. I think that using the Korrina's focus and not using the V-Star power kind of telegraphs the fact that I have Octillery in my hand. I don't know if I was playing against a Rapid Strike deck and this happened, if I would pick up on that, but I think it's something that a very smart player would have picked up on. A very intuitive player. So I am going to use the Forest Sealstone now, probably to grab a Research, I want to say, because I think my hand is still pretty booty. But I think it would have been better, again, to use the Forest Sealstone the previous turn to get a Battle VIP pass to get a couple of Inteleons into play. I do have the Tower of Waters that reduces the retreat cost of Rapid Strike Pokemon by 2. So I do effectively have free retreat on all my Rapid Strike Pokemon while that is in play. And as we can see, Scott has yet another boss's orders in hand, so he can always boss up the Medicham and knock that out on the next turn if I cannot contest this Zacian V. Which, with the way this match is going right now, if I attack with Inteleon VMax, I do 140, 70 plus 70 for returning the energy to my hand. Which would leave it with 40 remaining HP, and you can't double gunner to the active, only to the bench. So yeah. Also, I know that Twitter had a lot of memes about Meowscarada going into NAIC. They were trying to do like some meta manipulation of a really bad deck. Meowscarada is not good, guys. Rapid Strike plays the same, but you don't have to play Rare Candy. And you also have Gmax Rapid Flow. So, like, it's infinitely better, but accomplishes the same goal of being able to snipe things on the bench. You even have access to Melanie, which Meowscarada does not have. So, I mean, I guess if you're planning on playing against a lot of Darkrai V-Star at your locals, Meowscarada is better, because Darkrai V-Star is Grass Weak. But otherwise, Inteleon Urshifu is a much better deck. So we are going to use our Rapid Strike search now. I think I am still looking for the Inteleon VMax. So if I don't have that already, I should go for it here. And that is exactly what I do. I need to establish damage on the board somehow in some way. So that is my way to do it. I can attack with it. Even if I don't get the double gunner off, at least I get the 140 with Gmax Spiral. So we are going to evolve here into the Inteleon VMax. I am going to use Double Gunner. I do have it, so I'm going to choose Ralts and Manaphy. That definitely feels like the correct play. If I had multiple Inteleons in play, it would have been more correct to go after the Kirlia instead of the Ralts. But since I don't have that, I think it's less likely that the Ralts is going to become a Gardevoir EX, but I think that the Kirlia is more likely to become a Gardevoir EX. So I don't want to stick that damage counter onto something that's going to have a ton of HP. I want something very small that's easier to pick off with the double gunners. And I'm in a really bad spot right now because, again, I did not use that Forest Seal Stone earlier to grab a VIP pass. So I do have only 3 Pokemon in play. So I'm relying off the back of this one Inteleon and Octillery right now. And again, Scott does have another boss's orders in hand. It would not be incorrect for him to just go on the prize lead and try to take out that Medicham. Although, if he takes out the Remoraid, it puts him at 3 prize cards remaining. And all he has to do is one-shot any of my VMAX Pokemon at any point during the game in order to win the match. So, honestly, the correct play will be for him to boss up the Octillery. And that will effectively neuter my game state. He does get the Rare Candy, so a little punished for not putting it on the Kirlia, but it's still the correct play. And he does go for the greedier play to take more prize cards. He doesn't really have that big of a hand and only 1 Kirlia in play, so I don't really knock him for going for the Medicham just to take an additional card off his prize cards, but it also makes him weaker to Iono. So here, I want to establish another couple Inteleon V to the bench, maybe another Remoraid. Definitely the Alakazam. And I'm going to need a double gunner and just another attack. If I could get maybe Escape Rope so I can knock out one of the single prizers instead of the Zacian, and then use double gunner in combination with Radiant Alakazam to knock out the Zacian, I can take a 3 prize turn, and that would be very helpful to me right now. Looks like we do go for the research. I realize that Scott has a 2-card hand, so Iono is definitely not the play for me. I don't mind getting rid of that Octillery or pretty much any of that other stuff. I think there was a Battle VIP pass in there as well. I'm just really digging to try to find more stuff. I don't want any of those other dead cards to go back into the deck. So here is the Radiant Alakazam. That's one of the pieces I'm definitely looking for here. Do I get the Escape Rope? The Escape Rope would be huge here. Even if Scott puts up the Gardevoir EX so that I don't take a prize, at least I get damage off on it. And getting a ton of damage off on a Gardevoir for free like that is huge. So it looks like we are going to Nest Ball. I'm looking for an Inteleon V, but I almost accidentally put an Inteleon VMax to my discard, to my bench. So I correct that almost immediately. So we do find the Inteleon V. I also did bench the Urshifu V here. I do have that there. I feel like that's still incorrect. I don't think that there's any time where I can go for a Gmax Rapid Flow safely. I would have to close the game out with it, and of course that's one more easy boss's orders target to knock out now that Scott is down to 2 prize cards remaining. If you look at his hand, it is 2 psychic Pokemon, one of which is a Gardevoir EX. I think maybe the others are Ralts. I can't really tell. So his hand is pretty dead. He's going to be really relying off his draw for turn plus his 1 refinement. But even in worst case scenario, he can just double Gardevoir EX me and just switch between them and hit to try to deny me prize cards. So I am moving 20 damage off of the active. Since I can't move it to the bench, it is correct to move the damage off of it. I am overkilling it by quite a bit with the Gmax Spiral. I could have actually left... This is also important. I could have left the energy on the Inteleon and still taken the knockout, even after moving the damage counters off of it, I believe. So it was at 140... No, I think I still had to... I don't remember how much damage was on it. If it had damage from Psychic Embrace, I could have left the energy on it. But no, I couldn't in that situation. But still, getting to keep some of that damage in play is certainly helpful. Does replace my stadium with the Collapse Stadium. The Collapse isn't really affecting me too much because I don't have to discard any of my Pokemon. Kind of should be discarding the Urshifu if I can, but doesn't have that luxury here. But I will have to find another Tower of Waters here. And Scott does not have another Zacian, so he can't get a big knockout on a 3-prizer here. He does not have the boss's orders, so he cannot knock out the Urshifu. So this is working out pretty well for me. So here I just take 190 from the Gardevoir EX. Definitely the correct move from Scott. But what do I have to do here? If I can get a couple double gunners off, so I can use Radiant Alakazam to move 1 damage counter from Manaphy to Ralts. That puts them both at 30 HP, 30 damage on them out of 70 HP. They're left with 40 each. If I use 2 double gunners, I knock both of them out simultaneously, being able to take 2 prize cards, and I'm left with 2. Then I need to retreat my Inteleon into the other Inteleon, VMax it, because of course I would need double gunner anyway, and then just hit into the Gardevoir EX. And then that is close to being knocked out as well. So unfortunately, my only supporter option in my hand at the moment is the Irida. I did already use the Karina's Focus earlier in the game, so even if I had a small hand size, I can't use Octillery to Rapid Strike search it out. So I'm thinking about how I can pull this off necessarily. So I'm thinking about Escape Rope so that I can move my Inteleon to the bench. I'm trying to figure out exactly how I can use... I'm looking for Inteleon VMax and Energy Retrieval and the Escape Rope, because I think that I've gone through 2 Tower of Waters already, I want to say. At least 1. So I need to like Rapid Strike search for the Tower of Waters. And I think maybe I'm also missing... Did I get Iono'd? Do I have the Rapid Strike energy? So the correct play, anyway, is if I can hit into the best way to do it is hit into the Gardevoir EX, retreat into my Inteleon V, hope my opponent doesn't have a boss's orders because he's already used 2. I have double Rapid Strike energy in hand. So yeah, you Irida for energy retrieval. Yeah, I think I'm looking through the deck and noticed that I don't have any Tower of Waters left. So I'm really trying to go for that Escape Rope so that I can force up a 1-prizer to take a knockout. But as you can see, I'm really trying to play around. I need Escape Rope and energy retrieval is what I think I need at the time. But honestly, In all honesty, if I use Energy Retrieval, get back 2 water energies, I can also use the Irida to get the Inteleon VMAX. I can double gunner the Manaphy and the Ralts in combination with the Radiant Alakazam. I can knock both of them out, take 2 prize cards, hope that the Tower of Waters is taken off of the prize cards. Then I can retreat into the other Inteleon VMAX, use Gmax Spiral on the Gardevoir EX. That puts it at 220 damage. And then I still need 2 prize cards to win the game. But they're gonna hit into another VMAX that doesn't have any damage counters on it. So basically I need like 2 turns where he doesn't get boss's orders, and I just concede here. Honestly, I do think that was early for me to concede. I think if I saw the correct line of play, because I was hoping for escape rope at the same time because I prized double, I think I just didn't realize that I had the Alakazam and double gunner available to me to like go for that play and hope to get the stadium off my prize cards. So I just throw this game basically. I think I realized it afterwards. So I end up going 2-2 at this tournament, and my 2 losses were me misplaying and like not understanding the correct routes for the deck. And then I do play a friendly game against Nate, who we saw in round 1, who won and scooped a Scott. And I played against chien-pao, and I managed to do a turn where I knocked out both Baxcalibur and Bibarel at the same time with Gmax Rapid Flow after using a double gunner and the Radiant Alakazam to put 40 onto the Baxcalibur. And then he just had like a chien-pao and no energy. And he's like, what do I do? Like, he literally had no play after that. So after that, I realized between all of those games, had I played optimally, I would have been 5-0 at this point, and that is what gave me faith in the Inteleon Urshifu deck. And I'm like, not only is this fun, but it's a very good meta call, and that is what led me to testing for it for NAIC. And of course, I did fumble at least 2 of the matches at NAIC. I should have won 2 more rounds than I actually did. I think I had a loss and a tie that should have both been wins, but of course you change, well, the last round wouldn't have changed, but because it was the last round of the tournament, but the second to last round of day 1, you know, you never know what you're going to hit after that because you have different match points, so your bracket is entirely different. So maybe I would have just scrubbed out after that, but had I played optimally with the same matchups I had faced, I should have had 2 more wins at NAIC, but I do not regret playing this deck. It is very fun. You guys should try it out for yourselves. It does have a great place in the meta. Just again, a very bad Lugia matchup, and if you want your Mew matchup to be good, you got to play 1 to 2 Drapion. If you're playing against double turbo Mews, I highly recommend 2 Drapion. If you're playing against the Fusion Strike one, I would just play 1 and just hope that you can get down to 3 prize cards and then take the last 3 with Drapion. If you guys have seen my Instagram, I have the list I played at NAIC on there. The only changes I've made since then is I removed the second Drapion for a third Irida. It helps a lot against Lost Box and just general brickiness to increase consistency. I'm very much a fan of consistency. Cyrus Davis, her deck that got first place at NAIC, was playing more of the techie cards like Cheryl that I don't really like because you always have to Luminion for them. But I like pure consistency because you know what you're going to get out of the deck every single time because you're always going to have those draw supporters that you need. So, as always, guys, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Really important for that YouTube algorithm. And we will see you guys next round for top 4 cut of this League Cup at Flipside Gaming in East Greenbush, New York.